That's not fake. I mean, he literally went and very easily was able to infiltrate lobbyist circles and get them to say whatever the fuck he wanted to. Because that's how much power, that is how much power you have over lobbyists and special interest groups and sitting and old congresspersons. Oh, it was a black guy on the target and a Muslim dude on the target. That's how easy it is. That's how easy it is when you are advocating for their worldview, when you are seen as someone who is on board.
Playing games with giving out the permits, and this rolling
Was a Sikh dude, but it was considered a Muslim
thing was the perfect solution to it. Lobby Day started back in 2002, and again the idea was it was a holiday, Martin Luther King Day. People had off work, a lot of people. Yet the General Assembly was in session, so it was the perfect day to get people that weren't working anyhow down here to have a rally and to lobby to protect their rights.
So there are several different groups who showed up for this gun rights rally here in Richmond. There are the Boogaloo Boys, who said that they support both gun rights and Black Lives Matter. There are the Proud Boys, who the Boogaloo Boys were not getting along with and who they accused of being a white supremacist. Then there's also a gentleman who has a transgender flag and said he supports the LGBTQ community. There also was a group of Black Panthers who came and marched by, and the Boogaloos shouted out their support for them, and the Black Panthers shouted back in agreement. And so some of the groups do get along, and that was evidence as well.
Protest has become all of a sudden a bad word. But it seems that it's like everything else. It's only used bad if you want to use it against the people you oppose. If you believe in your heart that that's wrong, you should have the right to a peaceful protest.
We're not an offensive force, we're a defensive force. If the police make a move against us, we'll defend ourselves. If Proud Boys make a move against us, we'll defend ourselves. Even if Antifa wanted to make a move, we'll defend ourselves. But we'll support everybody's right to be here and speak openly and freely.
The vast majority of the people who own weapons are law-abiding citizens. They don't own the weapon because they are thinking of a revolution.
They want us to have a civil war. They want us fighting.
Remember, Boogaloo, like the name Boogaloo comes from Civil War II Electric Boogaloo. That's why they called themselves the Boogaloo Boys, because their founding principle, and it's a mishmash of different types of conservatives and even some like psychotic fucking lefties, I guess, who love guns, believe that there should be a race war, a second civil war, and that's why they call themselves the Boogaloo Boys. Like, that's the meme that it's spurned off of. Okay? So for them to be like, oh yeah, you know, we're just here defending our rights, it's like, well, brother, you're kind of trying to do a race war. It's kind of weird.
Each other, but we don't let that happen. They want us to have a civil war. They want us fighting each other.
Your name is literally a Boogaloo Boy. You're calling yourself a Boogaloo Boy, and you're saying we don't want a civil war to happen.
But we don't let that happen. Revolutions are generally against your government. Civil wars are people to people. Brothers killing brothers. We're not about that.
Well, we're not here like trying to beg for our rights or naturally ours. Right. We're not part of any political group or any kind of movement out there separate from everything else. We're not Trumpers, we're not Antifa, BLM, we're not part of any of that stuff. This is not a protest, this isn't an event, this is just us going for a walk. We do this several times a year.
It's about the people. So we're not affiliated, we aren't affiliated, BLM 757, we are independent, we are not affiliated with anybody's political party. Independent straight down the line, whoever is right by the people. And we're willing to have a conversation with anybody. So we're not going to shut that out. So it's very important that we are asking this. We're asking the different people to reach out to us. We'll reach out.
A bunch of the new Black Panther Party and affiliates are straight the fuck up, also classified as hate groups for good reason, by the way. I'm just letting you know. Like, this isn't the original Black Panther Party. Just letting you know. Some of these dudes are fucking hoteps and shit.
out to you, but we shouldn't have to always be the one reaching out. Y'all can see who's doing the work. Y'all can see who's been out here. It's clear and obvious.
My main message is that the Second Amendment is the most important right, and it protects all rights.
Like, the original Black Panther Party did not arm themselves because they liked how fucking guns looked like in their hands or how cool it was. Their forming principle wasn't around fucking having guns in their own hands, but more so about community defense, and also or I would go so far as to say, like, the more important things that they did were breakfast programs and things like that. They were also anti-capitalist as well. This, on the other hand, is just a bunch of dudes who love guns for the most part. And some of them are fucking, you know, some of them are even black Israelites and Hoteps and shit. Yeah, the Black Panthers were about supporting a community the state wasn't. Exactly. And the reason why they armed themselves was to protect themselves and their communities, in a lot of instances, against the police as well. So, you love guns too, you've said it. Yeah, I think guns are fun. I think shooting guns are fun, but they're very dangerous. And I think gun control is an absolute necessity. I think it's ridiculous. And I would not fucking walk down the street, kitted out, looking like I'm ready to do a mass shooting.
In the Bill of Rights, and it must be defended, and I'm here exercising my First Amendment right, which is also under attack, so that we can defend ourselves.
Gun defenses save 500,000 to 3 million lives per year. No, actually, you're wrong. I heard guns save 7 gorillion lives a year. Yeah. Anyone can just throw out numbers, dude. No, totally.
All gun control, essentially an attack on our liberties, and a lot of local gun control has taken place because of House Bill 421 this year, and it essentially ties my hands behind my back and leaves me defenseless. I'm a single female, I travel the country being a nurse, and that hinders that from me, and evil is real, and we need to be able to...
Like, part of the reason why these Second Amendment defenders, these ardent defenders of the Second Amendment, which I think is completely ridiculous and who gives a fuck, they want it. They want the Second Amendment because they want to potentially fight back against the tyrannical government, okay? The government, the state, owns a monopoly on violence. What does that mean? That means when cops are violent, that behavior is not seen outside of the norm, but when you're violent against the cops, that behavior is seen as true violence, right? Because the state, you expect the state to do violent things all the time, and it does. And why the fuck are you wearing a Blue Lives Matter flag on your hat, dumbass? Don't you recognize that that's an inherently contradicting ideology? Like, you're literally wearing a pro-police tyranny hat while simultaneously talking about your Second Amendment right to, you know, push back against a violent, tyrannical government, while literally supporting those people who are the oppressors. Those people, that very same paramilitary that expresses the state monopoly on violence upon you, the average citizen. Because it's all just an aesthetic.
defend ourselves.
They don't own the weapon because
Hi,
they're going to
Christopher.
go down here and rob a convenience store. They don't own the weapon for all of those bad things that certain media, certain political groups put out there to, again, scare and intimidate the average citizen.
Permit holders, they know the permit holders don't commit crimes because the state police keep track of that. They're trackable because they have permits. They don't commit crimes, so why would you bar somebody that's got an excellent track record from being able to protect themselves? because they don't like gun owners, they don't like guns, and they're in office. They should be protecting my rights, not stripping me of them. That's why this is important.
We need to have dialogue, right?
Absolutely, I'm all about dialogue. I'm all about dialogue.
We don't have to agree.
I'm all about
common ground.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's always a common ground.
There's
You just
always
gotta find
some
it.
kind of common ground.
You know.
What is it?
He said it's a transgender flag. Of
Oh,
course.
all right.
That's fine.
Transgender's all right.
Yeah, we don't got
Are
no
you
problem.
are you sure that's not a minor attracted person's flag?
I'm positive. All right. No, transgender. All right.
Sure,
No problem,
looks
man.
like one to me.
No.
I hate pedophiles just as much as anyone else.
It's got the white line through it.
you right now. That's the trans flag.
Yeah, I know for a fact it's trans flag.
Follow
Yeah.
your own advice. Let's walk.
Yeah, that's no problem. I mean,
As we've been doing for the past year, we've been encouraging black gun ownership, and we would like to take this opportunity to say that we will be collabing with our brothers here, the Fairhead and Gun Club, to make sure that we are.
That guy say it's a map flag? Like, what is it? Like a pedophile acceptance or something? Isn't that what it's called? That minor attracted person? Yeah, that's what they were trying to say. Super, super, super bigoted.
Are putting together.
It's not a real thing, by the way. It's a made up thing by 4chan. Like, there is no such thing as like an actual maps community. There's not like a real functioning, robust community of people who are like defending pedophiles or anything like that. But ever since the NAMBLA days, conservatives have always lied and said that LGBT community just are pedophiles, which is again pure projection. Guys, stop. When you say yes, it exists, you're being ridiculous because you saw like one fucking anime lolly account say that they are mapped themselves, and now you're literally making it seem like it's a legitimate fucking thing. It's not. No, the more legitimate thing is that it's been used. The claims of pedophilia have been used against the LGBT community in perpetuity, okay? That's the whole point. Likening lesbians, gays, bisexuals, and transgender people to pedophilia is an antiquated and yet unfortunately still very successful way of vilifying the LGBT community. It's not a legitimate or real part of the LGBTQ community, okay? Stop.
Defense classes, making sure our queens are able to protect themselves from these domestic terrorists and things of that nature, making sure our children are even armed as well and being able to defend ourselves just like any other culture. We are in Virginia, which was the birthplace of slavery, which is...
Even like the map community on fucking Twitter that supposedly exists is like tiny, luckily, holy shit, and inconsequential. Okay? Hasan just learned what map means like 5 months ago and is acting like people don't actually claim that title. LMA, no one's saying they're LGBT though. They're still pedos. Dog. Before NAP existed NAMBLA. So what the fuck are you talking about? I'm still aware that like conservatives have tried to literally vilify the LGBT community by claiming that they're pedophiles for a very long time. Okay? Shut the fuck up.
The birthplace of Confederacy, which is the birthplace of where Christopher Columbus came, which is the birthplace of 1619, where the first Africans were brought to Fort Monroe. And so this is literally where...
Like, it's the internet. You can say that there's a cannibalism positive community. There's a community for everything on the internet. You understand that, right? Just because a certain community exists in the fucking bowels, in the underbelly of like Tumblr or some shit, or like Tumblr refugees on Twitter, does not mean that it's a legitimate fucking community that is like actively advocating for the rights. It's like saying there are people who are attracted to animals and want to do bestiality, and that's a legitimate fucking community. And I'm not talking about furries. I'm talking about like people who are zoophiles. Okay? Please stop.
Where the hate would have to stop. We do feel like this is, if this is where it started, we have to be the ones to literally end it.
You're gonna find a community for every fucking degenerate freak shit. So shut the fuck up. From Black Panthers to Boogaloo Boys.